All right, people, welcome back to the channel. This is the MLB Pick'em Show. Today we're going to go over the games on August 22nd, 2023. Let's get started. First up, we have the Chicago Cubs going up against the Detroit Tigers. Drew Smiley on the mound for the Cubs. Reese Olson for the Tigers. I'm going to go with the Cubs on the money line here. And simply because of the fact that Detroit does not hit left-handed pitching well. They certainly don't hit for power. Their isolated power numbers are not great against left-handed pitching over the past month, over the past 12 days. Drew Smiley has not pitched well over the past couple months, especially not in the starter's role. They had him working out of the bullpen. Reese Olson, on the other hand, the guy doesn't give up a lot of home runs, which I like about him. But, however, over his last 3 starts, I believe he's given up 7 walks. Chicago Cubs, the walk around average, but just looking at this game and looking at the price, I don't think there's enough value to take the Tigers on the money line. The Cubs are the hotter team. They're playing for more at this point in the season, and I would go with Chicago on the money line. I would also look at probably the over on this game as well. For our second game of the day, we have the Colorado Rockies going up against the Tampa Bay Rays. Ty Blach on the mound for the Rockies, Zach Little for the Tampa Bay Rays. One thing I know I'm not doing on this game is taking the Rays on the money line at minus 270. Just absolutely no value. Looking at this game, Zach Little has pitched really well this year. However, he has not pitched well at home. He's been better on the road. Ty Blach, on the other hand, relatively speaking, he's pitched pretty well. The Rockies' starting pitching is nothing to write home about. But out of all their guys, Ty Blach has probably been one of the best starters that they've had this year, especially over the last month. Looking at this game, I hate to do it and I hate to say it, but Colorado Rockies on the money line might be worth the risk reward on this one. However, overall, I'm going to go with the under 8.5. The only thing that scares me on this game, this is not my favorite game, it's a 2-star game, is Colorado's bullpen, which is absolutely atrocious. They're not good, and they can blow a game at any given time. So, under 8.5, that's my final pick. Next game, we have the Giants going up against the Phillies. Rookie Kyle Harrison, going up against Taijuan Walker for the Phillies. Tough game to pick. Kyle Harrison's a rookie. Some have said he's the best pitching prospect that the Giants have brought up since Madison Bumgarner. He's a lefty. He pitches a fastball in the mid-90s, tops off around 97. People say he's a pretty good pitcher. However, the Phillies have been crushing left-handed pitching, and that's where I'm left with this conundrum, because I'd like to take the shot on the Giants on the money line, and but again, the Phillies have been hitting good against a lefties. Taijuan Walker pitched a little bit better at home than he does on the road. With that being said, I'm going to have to go with the Phillies on the money line. Not getting a great price. That's why this is not one of my favorite games. Real tempted to take the Giants on the money line, but let's go with Philly on the money line. That's my final pick. Next up, we have the Toronto Blue Jays going up against the Baltimore Orioles. Yusei Kikuchi on the mound for the Blue Jays. Grayson Rodriguez for the Orioles. Guys, I like the Baltimore Orioles on the money line here. Now, Kikuchi has been lights out over his last 5 to 6 starts. This guy's given up either no runs or 1 run. However, Grayson Rodriguez, on the other hand, has really turned around his season. He's not giving up any home runs, not giving up a lot of runs. His stats would indicate that he pitches better on the road than he does at home, but it's really been about even since he's turned it around. I like the way that Baltimore is hitting against left-handed pitching than I do Toronto hitting against right-handed pitching. I really don't like how Toronto in this lineup has been hitting at all. I think you're getting a good price. I think Baltimore has the better bullpen, and I think the way to go on this game is to take Baltimore on the money line and call it a day. I like it a lot. Next up, we have the Washington Nationals going against the New York Yankees. Josiah Gray on the mound for the Nationals. Carlos Rodon on the mound for the Yankees. Well, Rodon has been pretty much a bust this year. I mean, he spent the first 3 months, really 4 months of the year on the disabled list. Couldn't get it together, injured, and hasn't looked great since he's returned from the IL. Josiah Gray, on the other hand, guy was an all-star this year, but he hasn't looked great either. However, guys, this is my big balls pick of the day. I'm going with the Nationals on the money line. I think the risk reward is certainly there. The Nationals are hitting better against left-handed pitching over the past 12 days than the Yankees are against right-handed pitching. In fact, the Yankees have been one of the worst hitting teams against right-handed pitching over the past couple weeks. Their season is over with. I mean, I'm not a Yankees fan to begin with, but I try to keep it objective. Their season is over with. It's the lost year for the Yankees, and not that the Nationals are doing too much better, but at plus money, 164. This game is more than worth it to take the Nationals on the money line, and I like this pick a lot. Next up on the slate, we got the St. Louis Cardinals going up against the Pittsburgh Pirates, an NL Central matchup here. Adam Wainwright on the mound for the Cardinals, Johan Oviedo for the Pirates. I think the best bet on this one is going to be the over 10, which is a big number, but you got Adam Wainwright, who wasn't horrible in his last start, only giving up 3 runs, but before then, consistently giving up plus 5 runs. Pittsburgh isn't hitting great against right-handed pitching, but it's about average. But over the course of the last month, they've actually hit well above average, as measured by WRC plus against right-handed pitching. St. Louis, on the other hand, is hot against right-handed pitching, both over last month and over the past 12 days. So going with the over here, I really like this bet. I think this is a surefire way to make some money on this bet. I also like St. Louis on the money line, just because of the risk reward. I think it's worth it here. Even though Wainwright has been worse than Oviedo, it's not a meaningful enough amount to actually take Pittsburgh minus the money. So I would go with the over and possibly look at St. Louis Cardinals on the money line. Next up on the slate, it's the New York Mets going up against the Atlanta Braves. Tyler McGill on the mound for the Mets. Bryce Elder for the Braves. Now, Bryce Elder isn't my favorite starter for the Atlanta Braves. He got pounded his last outing, or excuse me, he was good his last outing. The prior 2 outings before that, he got pounded. Tyler McGill, on the other hand, average pitcher, and of course, the Braves pound, and they really mash right-handed pitching, especially at home. Looking at this game and looking at Tyler McGill, looking at his numbers in splits, he's much worse on the road. I'm tempted to go with over 10.5. I think we'll hit that as well. But also, I would look at the Braves on the run line here, minus 1.5, and even possibly look at that minus 2.5. I really think they're going to get to McGill here. I think they're going to bounce back from yesterday's beatdown, which they lost 10-4. So I would look at the Braves here on the run line, 1.5 and even 2.5, and look at the over at 10.5. Officially, my pick is going to be the Braves on the run line, 1.5. Next up on the docket, we got the Boston Red Sox going up against the Houston Astros. Tanner Hewitt on the mound for the Red Sox. Justin Verlander for the Houston Astros. Kind of split on this game. Logic would say you got to go with the Astros here. They're at home. You got Verlander on the mound, but this ain't the same Verlander as we've seen before in the past. He's not as effective. He's not as sharp. Over his last 3 starts, he has not looked great. Tanner Hewitt, on the other hand, he's coming off of the disabled list, so it's really, really tough to go with him as well. So looking at this game, I think you have to go here and take the shot with the underdog, with the Boston Red Sox on the money line, getting plus money. I think it's worth a shot to take them here. that it's just worth the risk reward to go with Boston on the money line. Next up, we got Minnesota Twins going up against the Milwaukee Brewers. Bailey Ober on the mound for the Twins. Wade Miley for the Brewers. Got to go with the Minnesota Twins on the money line. Minnesota is hitting much better against right-handed pitching than Milwaukee does. Milwaukee's much better against left-handed pitching. Now, Milwaukee does have the better bullpen than the Twins. Both of these teams are playing for something. Going into the last half or the last part of this season, but I like the Twins to take this simply because I like the matchup better against right-handed pitching. Minnesota Twins on the money line. I would also lean towards the over on this one. And next up, we have the red-hot Seattle Mariners going up against the Chicago White Sox. Brian Wu on the mound for the Mariners. Mike Clevenger for the White Sox. Now, as much as I want to, I can't bet against the Seattle Mariners right now. They've won, I believe, 7 games in a row. They're red hot. They've been playing well over the last month, 2 months, doing the same thing they did at the end of last season, which is win a lot of ball games, get themselves in the playoffs. So while I can't go against the Mariners, even though I kind of want to on this game, Mike Clevenger's been pitching really well. Brian Wu coming off the DL. I think the best way to approach this game to get the best value is to choose the under. I like the under in this game. Again, Mike Clevenger pitching well. Brian Wu, not so much. But the White Sox aren't hitting right-handed pitching. So go with the under, call it a day. Next up, we have the Cincinnati Reds going up against the Los Angeles Angels. I'm going to go with the Reds on the money line here just for value alone. Graham Ashcraft has been pitching pretty well. Lucas Giolito, he does pitch much better at home than he does on the road. He's been really dismal on the road, but over the course of his last 5 starts, Giolito has just been horrible. He's been a major letdown for the Angels when they picked him up at the trade deadline, but I would go with the Reds. I like them. I like them getting plus money, and looking at the over as well on this one as well. But Graham Ashcraft, he's been pitching better, and the Reds have been hitting a little bit better than the Angels have. Actually, yeah, a little bit better than the Reds have, but just average overall. But the Angels hitting horrible against right-handed pitching over the past month and 2 weeks. Next up, got the Royals going up against the Oakland Athletics. Angels are on the mound for KC. No official starter listed for the Athletics. I'm going to go with the Royals on the red line, minus 1.5. Strictly a stab in the dark here. The Athletics won yesterday. These teams are about even. I would say that Kansas City's a little bit better than the Athletics. Really, this is just a stab in the dark. Trying to get some value here. KC on the run line, minus 1.5. Give it a try. See if it works. Next up, we got the Rangers going up against the Arizona Diamondbacks. John Gray on the mound for the Rangers. Zach Allen for the Arizona Diamondbacks. Now, if you listen to my last video on the 17th, I said, go with the Arizona Diamondbacks, just simply because of the fact that they had Zach Allen on the mound. He's supposed to be a big game pitcher, big money pitcher, trying to earn that big contract. However, in this one, being that Arizona won last night, I see the Rangers bouncing back, and John Gray's been pitching well. So I'd go with the Rangers on the money line. Anytime you're getting plus money with the Rangers, you got to go with them. Well, most of the time. I would also go with the over on this one. These teams have horrible bullpens. Go with the over. Go with the Rangers on the money line. Last up, we have the Miami Marlins going against the San Diego Padres. Jesus Luzardo on the mound for the Marlins. Blake Snell on the mound for the Padres. I'm going to go with the Padres again on the run line, minus 1.5, simply because the Marlins have not been hitting left-handed pitching at all, whereas the Padres have been mashing left-hand pitching. Blake Snell, he's a Cy Young candidate this year. pretty much the same can be said for Jesus Luzardo. But I think Blake Snell is the more seasoned pitcher. I think the Padres are probably playing for a little bit more right now. I just see them stepping up at this stage in the season, and I would go with San Diego on the money line. I would also look at probably the over in this game, actually, at 7.5. I think it's just a little bit too low for these bullpens. But yeah, San Diego run line minus 1.5. And that's it, folks. Thanks again for viewing. And, if you have it in you, please think about subscribing to the channel, hitting the thumbs up button, and hitting that notification bell. And we'll see you next time.